Now, I would like us to move on to the next keynote speaker. Again, this is a good friend of mine, and today he has the opportunity to go beyond. I mean, we've got the same name. His name is also Tinashe. So he has the opportunity today to prove himself if he is a better Tinashe than I am. Of course, I've always told him that he is the other Tinashe and I'm the new one. The handsome one and he's the other one. Let's see what you will think today about him. So our next speaker is Mr. Tinashe Simudzirayi. He is an audit associate at Bekatili, Central Africa. He's a public speaking consultant and also a professional speaker, very much passionate about youth entrepreneurship and raising the youth and making the youth better leaders within our community. Chengetai is a youth-led movement, and it's such minds like Mr. Simudzirayi that we need as youth. I address him as Mr. Simudzirayi, but he's a very, very small boy. I should say that. But it's beautiful that we've got the youth that are able to stand up and talk about the conversations that matter, the conversations that change the narrative, and the conversations that change the community and that build the youth. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together once again and help me welcome to the stage Mr. Tinashe Simudzirayi.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite songs actually. So what I need you to do, because in this case, after a lovely presentation and the other, Tinashe of course, wants me to prove myself. The only way I could get comfortable is if I ask you all to stand. If I ask you all to stand, I need you to stand. Please help me. I have to define myself here. Okay, Mr. DJ, please play my favorite song because I want our audience members to dance for me. Yes, let's go. Okay, no, it's fine, Mr. DJ. You can stop. I think it's fine. I think you can all sit. I just wanted to expose you a bit. Now there's one out I'm going to, so it's fine. Okay. So I have a question. A hypothetical question. And my hope is that at the end of this keynote, I will have more answers than questions because I believe that the young men and women in this room are a living proof that there's still hope for Zimbabwe. 2 decades plus years ago, a young widowed lady took the astronomical jump towards entrepreneurship. She embarked on this journey with 3 other partners, leaving behind a well-paying job to try her odds in a male-dominated industry, which was quite strange and audacious for someone with little to no experience, let alone a woman for that matter. 20 plus years later, the company she started has grown to be a multi-million-dollar business in Zimbabwe. And just last year, Dr. Divine Lukula Simbi and her team were celebrating the 25th anniversary of Chengetai. Just recently, I broke up with my ex, and it only took me my best friend to realize that she wasn't the most beautiful girl in Zimbabwe. In his words, he said, I needed a little bit of exposure. And to do that, I traveled around the country using CAG tours. Now CAG boasts a fleet of 300 plus commercial buses and 1,000 employees. And at the helm of the transport industry is another lady, Dr. Afra Nananga. Today, the education sector is talking about Education 5.0, which is to be spearheaded by state institutions. And amongst these state institutions, we cannot leave Women's University out of the conversation. But Women's University, again, the vision of Women's University was birthed by another special lady, Professor Hopsindya Sata. Now, ladies, let's have a conversation, because the topic around women empowerment has always been at the center of our universe for quite some time. And of course, we can agree that women has always hit it harder than men. To throw in some numbers, in corporate Zimbabwe, only 6 listed companies are either board-led or management-led by a woman. If you put the conversation around political circles, 6 out of 26 ministers that were voted into the cabinet quite recently are women. And my opinion is it's not because women are less capable, but just that the conversation around what women are capable of has been framed incorrectly. You see, we come from a patriarch society that has stood true to our culture and traditions as Africans and Zimbabweans. The same culture that has brought well-defined roles into the 21st century, although of course it has come with its own set of flaws. But I'm afraid that our interconnectedness with the global village has diluted our sense of being and ownership as Africans and Zimbabweans. Because those that are supposed to be the custodians of driving us into the 21st century either don't fully acknowledge or understand what is happening around the world. And the few of us that do, they are trapped in an identity situation crisis. You know, I personally don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunate that my future as a Zimbabwean lies in the hands of an 18-year-old kid trapped in a room somewhere in Avondale or Kuwadzana, who is just a click away from accessing my TT's content. You see, I'm what they call a Hararian, born, bred, and lived in Harare for the past 23 years of my life, mostly in the outskirts of the CBD, where they call the other side of Samora. To get to my location, you board combis at Market Square, and you pass through Mupedzanamu, and the Mbari flats that used to be concentration camps for black people during the Rhodesian era. What you witness there is a testament of how most people live their lives around the country, because that is the heart of Harare in Zimbabwe. So whether you go to Makokoba in Bulawayo, you go to Sakuva in Mutare, you go to Chiedza in Karoi, you go to Chitungwiza, the challenges are the same, the people are the same, and the conversations are equally the same. But what's different is the geographic location. So you see a lot of happy faces, but when you take a closer observation, you realize that you've got so much to be grateful for, especially if you have a roof over your head. During the winter season, you wear warm clothes. But these communities are where some of our brightest minds, especially the ones I believe their voices deserve to be heard, come from. I like what Chengetai is doing, because I appreciate the importance of equipping young people with skills that can help them to make an impact in society. But sadly, that's not enough, because the 21st century Zimbabwean has more to do than what they've done before. More questions to ask, more doors to knock, and above all, a legacy to leave. In one of my lives, I'm a public speaking consultant, as Tinashe mentioned, And most of the people that I deal with are usually adults that have done really well in life. But somewhere down the line, they just didn't learn one or two skills because of lack of access. But today, because of the same global village that I blame for our loss of identity, you can learn anything and everything if you put your mind to it. When Dr. Divine decided that she wanted to get into business, I'm pretty sure that somewhere down the line, she was told that business is for men. And what registered in her mind was, that's yesterday's conversation. So if you are a woman and you are in this room and you still believe that impact is for somebody else and it should be done by somebody else, then you are neglecting your future. You are neglecting your future and my future. And to be quite honest, I don't like you for that. That's the honest truth. If it were up to me, I would make you see your challenges for what they are. Valid excuses. Because if a young widowed lady could turn a whole industry upside down till she reached the pinnacle of that particular industry, what can stop you from making impact in Zimbabwe? What can? You know, quite interesting actually. Just last year, I started working at Baker Tilly Chartered Accountants. And that's when I started my work as an audit associate. But before I moved into audit, I was working in business development with Vicky. Now, Vicky is what I would call a walking business encyclopedia because she knows anything and everything. I still remember my first day at work. She was the one that introduced me to everyone from the associates to the partners. My first tender submission, which was my sole responsibility, she submitted it because apparently I wanted to meet Vusi Tebekwayo on the same day. And for that reason, when my mom fell ill this year, she was the first person that I called, just because of that reason. You see, in my life, I've had 3 women that I've considered what I would call a mother, or they are close to a mother. That is my maternal mom, Mama, of course. Then Mrs. Majongwe, that is my high school teacher, and Vicky, for one little reason. Every important table that I've set in my life, it was a male figure that introduced me to that table. But the female figures are the ones that made me feel like I belong there. And for that reason, I'm grateful. So on behalf of all the brothers and the fathers in the room, ladies, we really appreciate you for your support. We really appreciate you for the sacrifices that you make on a consistent basis. But my call to action, which is my challenge to you, is challenge yourself to make initiative and be productive because you are part of the bigger picture called Zimbabwe. In other words, what I'm simply trying to say is you don't have to look anywhere else for leadership because you need to be the leaders that you wish to follow. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Mr. DJ, please play my song again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Let's give him another round of applause.